Hello students, I am Sai Baba here. In the previous class, I have completed the discussion of solutions for the questions 1 to 55 in the assignment in thermodynamics. So in this class, I am now going to discuss the solutions of the questions numbering from 56 to 60. Look at the question number 56 on the screen. I am going to read out the question and discuss the solution. 3 moles of an ideal monoatomic gas perform a cycle as shown in the figure. The gas temperature in different states are T1 equal to 400 Kelvin, T2 equal to 800 Kelvin, T3 equal to 2400 Kelvin, and T4 is 1200 Kelvin. The work done by the gas during the cycle will be. So you can observe that you are given the PT diagram, not the PV diagram. We are given the graph of pressure along y-axis and volume along x-axis. And the area enclosed by the graph preventing the cycle gives the work done. But here it's not PV graph, it is PT graph. The process 1 to 2 is represented by the process from temperature T1 to temperature T2. It is represented by a straight line passing through origin. So the equation of the straight line passing through the origin is given by y proportional to x. So that means P proportional to T. Here along y-axis, we have pressure, along x-axis, you have temperature. The pressure of the gas will be proportional to the absolute temperature of the gas in the process 1 to 2. Same is the case in the process 3 to 4 also. Even for the process 3 to 4, the graph is a straight line passing through origin. So y is proportional to x, or pressure is proportional to temperature. Pressure of the gas will directly proportional to the absolute temperature of the gas. When the volume of the gas is constant, that means process 1 to 2 represents a constant volume process or isochoric process, where work done by the gas will be 0 at constant volume. So work done by the gas of process 1 to 2 is 0. Work done by the gas in the process 3 to 4 will also be 0. So no work is done by the gas in the process 1 to 2, and no work is done by the gas in the process 3 to 4. So in the process 2 to 3, the process 2 to 3 is straight line parallel to x-axis. That means y coordinate is constant, or pressure is constant. So for the process 2 to 3, you have to calculate the work done for the process 2 to 3 and also work done for the process 4 to 1. So in the process, for process two to 3, pressure of the gas is constant. So work done by the gas at constant pressure is given by P delta V, or you can write nu R delta T. The nu is the quantity of the gas expressed in moles, or number of moles of gas, or is the molar gas constant. So here delta T for the process 2 to 3 will be T3 minus T2. That is temperature in the state 3 and temperature in the state 2. Similarly, in the process 4 to 1 also, the graph is a straight line, parallel to x-axis, so pressure is constant. same formula can be used even for the process 3 to 4. 4 to 1. 3 to 4 volume is constant. So work done by the gas in the process 4 to 1 is also given by the same formula nu r delta T. That is nu r into temperature T1 minus T4. The process 4 to 1, 4 is the initial state, 1 is the final state. So net work done by the gas in the cycle. So work done for the process 1 to 2 plus work done by the gas in the process 2 to 3 plus work done by the gas in the process 3 to 4 plus work done by the gas in the process 4 to 1. So work done by the gas in the process 1 to 2 will be 0 because the process 1 to 2 a straight line passing through origin, so P proportional to T or Y proportional to X, so where volume is constant. Work done in the process 2 to 3, we have written nu r into T3 minus T2. Work done by the gas in the process 3 to 4 is again 0 because again the line 3 to 4, the process 3 to 4 is a straight line passing through origin where volume is constant. P proportional T for the process 3 to 4, Y proportional to X, which volume is constant. So work done is 0. So for the process 4 to 1, work done is given by nu r into T1 minus T4. You can take nu r common outside. So T3 minus T2 plus T1 minus T4. Now we can substitute all the numericals. You can take nu equal to 3 moles of the gas here. T3 is 2400. T2 is 800. T1 is 400. T4 is 1200. And nu is 3 moles. That you can simplify it further. Those who want to copy the working, please take a pause and finish writing the working. So you can take R equal to approximately 25 by 3 joule per mole per Kelvin. So you get 25 into 800 or 220 kilojoules you get. 200 into 100 or 20 into 10 cube. Those who want to copy the working, please take a pause and finish writing the working. So for question number 56, which I have just discussed now, first option will be answered 20 kilojoules. So next I am going to discuss the next question, question number 57. The cyclic process ABCA is shown in the PT diagram. Which of the following curves correctly represents a process on a VT diagram? This question was given 2006 MSET exam engineering paper. You can observe that the process A to B, the graph need to be drawn more clearly. I mean, showing the axis. The process C to A, pressure is constant. So it represents isobaric process. So in the process B to C, temperature is constant. So therefore, pressure is constant means in the VT diagram, at constant pressure you can apply Charles law. Volume is directly proportional to temperature. The graph will be a straight line passing through origin in the process C to A. I mean in the VT graph. For the process C to A, pressure is constant. Therefore, volume is proportional to the absolute temperature of gas in the isobaric process. So VT graph will be a straight line passing through origin in the process C to A. The process B to C, temperature is constant. So in the process C, so you can show the graph this way first. The process C to A, pressure is constant. Volume is proportional to T. That means Y proportional to X in VT graph. So it will be a straight line passing. So in the process C to A, volume is proportional to temperature and temperature gas decreasing. So volume, if temperature gas decreases at constant pressure in the process C to A, volume must also decrease. The process B to C, temperature is constant. So in the process B to C, temperature is constant. So Boyle's law is applicable. Pressure is inversely proportional to volume. So in the process B to C, pressure is decreasing. So volume must be increasing. The process B to C. In the process B to C, pressure is decreasing at constant temperature. So volume must be increasing. So in the process A to B, that means actually the process, the graph, given graph has to be drawn more clearly this way. I mean the given graph, in your notes if you can draw this way. So that the line AB in the given graph, I mean this line, supposed to pass through the origin when produced. So PT is a PT graph, of course. PT graph is a straight line passing through origin means P proportional to T, the process AB. In AB, pressure of the gas is proportional to temperature, which is possible at constant volume. So volume is constant in the process AB. But in the process A to B, pressure of the gas is increasing. Pressure of the gas increasing, therefore temperature at constant volume. Pressure increases at constant volume. Temperature must also increase in the process A to B. So PT diagram for same process can be drawn like this. So those who want to copy the working, please take a pause and copy the working. So for question number 57, which I have just discussed, the second option will be the answer. So then look at the next question. Question number 58. I'm going to read the question number 58 now. 1 mole of an ideal gas is subjected to cyclic process as shown. The 1000 joule of heat energy is withdrawn from the gas in a complete cycle. Find the work done in joules on the gas during the process B to C. Take R equal to 8.30 joule per mole per Kelvin. The reference is the temperatures of the gas at A and C equal to 100 Kelvin. So you are asked to find work done of the gas in the process B to C. You are given that 1000 joules of heat energy withdrawn from the gas. That means net heat energy lost by the gas is 1000 joules. So in the process A to B, volume is constant. So applying first law of thermodynamics for complete process. Net quantity of heat energy absorbed by the gas in the complete cycle can be written as net change in energy of the gas per complete cycle plus net work done by the gas in the complete cycle. It is given that 1000 joule of heat energy withdrawn from the gas in the complete cycle. That means net quantity of heat energy lost by the gas in the cycle is 1000 joules. When heat energy lost by the gas in the complete cycle, net quantity of heat energy delta Q absorbed by the gas during the cycle, which can be written as minus 1000 joules. Delta Q will be negative when net heat energy is lost with system. Net change in energy of the gas for complete cycle will be 0, as I told you. So net work done by the gas for complete cycle is equal to work done by the gas in the process A to B plus work done by the gas in the process B to C plus work done by the gas in the process C to A. So here in the process A to B, volume of the gas is constant. Therefore, no work is done by the gas at the process A to B. So in the process from A to B, volume is constant, so work done is 0. Now in the process C to A, pressure is constant. In the process C to A, pressure is constant. So work done by the gas at constant pressure given by the formula P delta V or nu R delta T. So nu R delta T is equal to nu R into temperature at A minus temperature C. In the process C to A, C is the initial state, A is the final state. So final temperature means temperature at A, initial temperature C. So nu is the number of moles of gas that is given to 1 mole. R equal to 8.30 joule per mole per Kelvin. Temperature at A minus temperature at C difference is directly given as 100 Kelvin. So you get 830 joules. You can substitute these values in this equation. Net amount of heat energy absorbed by the gas during cycle is minus 1000 joules. That is equal to net work done by the gas during the cycle. Work done by the gas, the process A to B is 0 on the right side. Work done by the gas in the process B to C we have to find out. Work done by the gas in the process C to A is 830 joules. So take this. So minus 1000 minus 830 joules is equal to WBC. So work done by the gas in the process B to C minus 1830 joules. The negative sign indicates that work done by the gas is negative, means work is done on the gas. Positive work is done by gas. So work done on the gas by the compressing agent in the process B to C will be plus 1830 joules. So those who want to copy the working, they can take a pause and finish writing the working. So for question number 58, which I just discussed now, first option is the answer. See the question number 59. This question was given one of the world IIT exam papers, but later observed that this question is also given one of the MSET exam papers in the last 2 years, I mean 2012 or 13, one of the years it is given, the engineering paper. Look at the question number 59. An ideal gas is expanded isothermally to double the volume. Then it is compressed adiabatically to the initial volume. If delta P, delta W, delta U and delta T are the change in pressure, net work done by the gas, net change in energy, and change in the temperature of the gas respectively, then you have to pick up the wrong one. That means you have to find the sign for delta P, delta U, delta T, and delta W. So in the isothermal expansion, temperature of the gas remains constant. First it undergoes isothermal process. Next, adiabatic process. We can show the process roughly in the indicator diagram or PV diagram. Let A be the initial state. In the isothermal expansion, isothermal process, PV curve is a rectangular hyperbola. Let A be the initial state. For the isothermal expansion, B is the final state. The volume at B is double the volume at A. At constant isothermal process means temperature is constant. Constant temperature, pressure is inversely proportional to the volume. So when volume is doubled at constant temperature, pressure will be reduced to half. So pressure at B will be half of the pressure at A by applying Boyle's law. But temperature at B is same as the temperature at A. Because process AB is the isothermal process in which temperature remains constant. Then it is compressed adiabatically to the initial volume. So if you apply in the adiabatic compression, temperature gas increases. As I discussed in the theory, adiabatic expansion causes cooling of gas, adiabatic compression causes heating of gas. So final temperature at the end of adiabatic process will be definitely more than the initial temperature at the beginning of adiabatic process or more than the temperature in the isothermal process. Therefore, net change in the temperature is equal to final temperature at the end of adiabatic process compression minus original temperature at the beginning. In the adiabatic compression, temperature gas increases. So final temperature more than the original temperature. So delta T is positive. And temperature of the gas increases, internal energy of the gas also increases. So net change in internal energy is also positive. And finally, in the adiabatic process, the relationship between the pressure and volume is given by PV per gamma equal to constant. So final pressure at the end of adiabatic process, the final volume at the end of adiabatic process, same as initial volume, because finally the gas is compressed back to the initial volume V1. Initial pressure at the end of adiabatic, initial pressure at the end of, initial pressure for adiabatic process, same as the final pressure for isothermal process. First it is expanded isothermally, which is shown in the process A to B. I have shown only the isothermal process in the graph. I have not yet drawn the graph for adiabatic. So volume at B is 2V1. If V1 is the original volume at A, pressure at A, B is half of the pressure at A. So initial pressure for adiabatic process will be half of the original pressure at A. So volume at the beginning of adiabatic process is equal to V bar. So you get final pressure is equal to pressure at A into power gamma by 2 power 1 or 2 power gamma minus 1. So final pressure at the end of adiabatic process is definitely more than the initial pressure starting point A. Gamma is greater than 1 for any ideal gas. So gamma minus 1 is positive. So 2 power some positive quantity will be greater than 2. For example, gamma is 5 by 3. This will be 2 power 5 by 3 minus 1 will be 2 by 3. So that will be more than anyhow, that will be more than 1. So final pressure is greater than the original pressure. So net change in the pressure equal to final pressure at the end of adiabatic process minus the original pressure at the starting point here, at the beginning of isothermal process. That is also greater than 0. So if you want to show this adiabatic process in the PV diagram, the final pressure is PF. Final volume is V. So you can draw the graph this way. That means the adiabatic curve lies above the isothermal curve in the indicated diagram. During the isothermal expansion from A to B, volume of the gas increases, so we can say work is done by the gas. In the adiabatic compression back from B to the initial volume, I draw the graph more clearly. So look at the graph here. The process from A to B, as shown initially, is isothermal expansion from volume V1 to 2V1. At the beginning of isothermal process, pressure is PA. The final pressure is at the end of isothermal process PA by 2. Next, it is compressed back to the original volume V1. So see the final state at the end of adiabatic compression. So B to C. You have another curve here I have shown roughly, which represents the adiabatic curve. The final state C at the end of adiabatic process, pressure is denoted by PF, which is slightly more than the pressure at A, because 2 power gamma minus 1 is greater than 1. Therefore, final pressure at the end of adiabatic compression is more than the original pressure at A. But final volume at C is again V1, same as the original volume at A. So when the gas comes to the state C, it's higher, right? Final pressure is more than the original pressure at A, so delta P is positive. Delta U is positive, delta T is also positive. So now during adiabatic expansion from A to B, work is done by the gas during the isothermal, during the isothermal expansion from A to B, work is done by the gas as volume increases from V1 to 2V1. So area below this isothermal PV curve from A to B and volume axis gives the work done by the gas during the isothermal expansion from A to B. Area below the adiabatic curve from B to C. From B to C, its volume decreases from 2V1 to V1. So in the adiabatic compression from B to C, work is done on the gas. But you can observe that the area below the adiabatic PV curve from B to C and volume axis is more than the area below the isothermal PV curve from A to B and volume axis. That means work done on the gas in the adiabatic compression from B to C is more than the work done by the gas in the isothermal compression, expansion from VTV. Again I repeat, the work done on the gas in the isothermal compression represented by the curve BC, which lies above the isothermal curve, is more than the work done by the gas in the isothermal expansion from VTV. So net work is done on the gas. Therefore, delta W is represent net work done by the gas is negative. Delta W is less than 0. So in this process, delta U is greater than 0, delta W is less than 0. Delta U is greater than 0, delta T is greater than 0, delta P is greater than 0. So now look at the options. Those who want to copy the working, they can take a pause. Please take a pause and finish copying the working. So look at the options here. First option, delta P greater than 0 is correct. Second option, delta W less than 0 is also correct. Delta U greater than 0 is correct. But third option is wrong. They are asked to pick up the wrong one. Therefore, third option will be the answer. So look at the question number 60. That is the next question in this assignment. Two thermally insulated vessels 1 and 2 are filled with air at temperatures T1, T2, volumes V1, V2, pressure P1, P2 respectively. The valve joining the two vessels is opened. The temperature inside the vessels at equilibrium will be. So after valve is opened, they are thermally insulated vessels. That means you can assume that there is no transfer of any heat from system of the two vessels to surroundings. So let T be the final temperature in equilibrium and let P dash be the final pressure. Some gas diffuses from air or gas diffuses from one vessel to the other vessel until pressure becomes same. There may be a transfer of heat from air in one vessel to the air in the other vessel, but there is no net transfer of heat in the system of the two vessels because the two vessels are thermally insulated vessels. Total volume of the system of the two vessels is constant. That is, total volume of the air filled in the system of the two vessels is constant. So that means net heat absorbed by system. I mean, if you consider the air in both the vessels as one system, then for system of the gases in the two vessels, net heat absorbed by system of the two vessels is 0. Net work done by system of the two vessels is 0. Therefore, net change in energy system of the two vessels is 0. So total energy remains constant. That is one concept we are going to use. And secondly, the total number of moles of the gas in the two vessels remains constant. Applying conservation of number of moles because the two vessels are filled with same gas A, there is no chemical action. Number of moles remains constant. So final number of moles in the first vessel plus final number of moles in the second vessel is equal to initial number of moles in the first vessel plus initial number of moles in second vessel. From perfect gas equation, you can write PV equal to nu RT, or nu can be written as PV by RT in general. So initial number of moles in the first vessel can be written as P1 V1 by RT1. Initial number of moles in second vessel can be written as P2 V2 by RT2. New number of moles, final number of moles in the first vessel can be written as P dash into V1 by RT. You to that final number of moles second vessel, you can write P dash into V2 by RT. So volume of each vessel can be attributed to a constant here. So 1 by R is a common factor, gets cancelled. So you get P dash by T, you can take common on the left side, into V1 plus V2. 1 by R gets cancelled. So right side you can write P1 V1 T2 plus P2 V2 T1 divided by T1 T2. This is called one equation. Net change in energy of system of the gas in the two vessels is 0. That is change in energy of the gas in the first vessel plus change in energy of the gas in second vessel can be taken as 0. Net change in energy. Change in energy of an ideal gas in any process can be written in the form delta U in any process for an ideal gas, nu CV delta T. C is the molar specified constant value which you can write R by gamma minus 1. Delta T you can write final temperature minus initial temperature. So now from perfect gas equation PV equals nu RT. So nu RT2 you can write P2 V2 in the general case. Nu RT1 you can write P1 V1 by gamma. So change in the energy of a gas in any process can be written as PF BF minus PI VI by gamma minus 1, where PI VI are initial pressure, initial volume. PF VF are final pressure, final volume. Gamma is the ratio specific to the gas at constant pressure and constant volume. So here change in the energy of the first gas, delta U for first gas can be written as final pressure of gas in each vessel is same P dash. Final volume of the gas in the first vessel is V1. Final volume, or you can say U1 plus U2 is constant. U1 dash plus U2 dash equal to U1 plus U2. That means total energy will remain constant. So energy of an ideal gas you can write PV by gamma minus 1. P the pressure. So final energy of the gas in the first vessel can write P dash into V1 by gamma minus 1. Final value of energy of the gas second vessel P dash into V2 by gamma minus 1. Initial energy of the gas in the first vessel P1 V1 by gamma minus 1. Initial energy of the gas second vessel P2 V2 by gamma. Both the vessels contain same gas, that is air. So gamma is same. So P dash into V1 plus V2. Can write P1 V1 plus P2 V2. You substitute this value of P dash into V1 plus V2 from second equation into the first equation to find final temperature. So from first and second equations, substitute the value of P dash into V1 plus V2 from second equation into the first equation. You get P1 V1 plus V2 V2 by capital T is equal to P1 V1 T2 plus P2 V2 T1 by T1 T2. So from this you can find the final temperature of system. So those who want to copy the solution of the problem, please take a pause and copy the solution of the problem. So from this you get T equal to you can find the value of T from this. T1, T2. You can write the result yourself. Please take a pause and complete calculation. So T1, T2 into P1, V1 plus P2, V2 divided by P1, V1, T2 plus P2, V2, T1. That will be the value of T. Please take a pause and finish copying the calculation part. So for question number 60, which I have just discussed now, third option is the answer. This question was given in 2004 AAA exam, but I observed the same question now. You again find in your intermediate 11th class, I mean junior intermediate physics textbook also I observed same model question given and the regular exercise questions. So you have to probably prepare this question even for your board exam also. So one thing I would like to tell the students about this practice of questions and assignments, all that. Some of the students will not be able to work out most of the questions on their own when they go through the assignment for first time. Don't get discouraged. Don't think that those students who are able to solve are solving these problems in the first stroke itself. There may be some students who may be able to solve on their own in the first stroke. In case you are not able to solve these problems on your own, you do like this. You first go through all solutions of all the questions one after another in the assignment. Then take a gap of 1 hour or take a gap of 1 or 2 days. Then again come to the beginning of assignment, start the assignment. Now work out the assignment yourself without looking at the solutions then next time. So that finally you must see that you should be able to work out these questions or these problems or same model questions in case they happen to come in the future tests or which you write in the college or in the actual entrance examinations or same models. Because any problem in thermodynamics will be of same models or sometimes a combination of these models. So you have to go through the solutions of the problems in case you are not able to do most of the questions on your own. After going through the solutions of all the questions, again come back to the, take a gap and to come back to the assignment on another day or on same day by taking a gap, then work out the questions completely. So that finally you will be able to develop the ability to work out these questions by going through solutions, then again trying them. So in my next class, I will be showing the last part of the assignment in thermodynamics. I will be showing one more assignment in thermodynamics. In my next class, I will be showing the questions numbering from 61 to 90. That is another 30 questions. So in the next class, I will not be discussing the questions, but I will be just showing the last set of questions in the assignment in thermodynamics numbering from 61 to 90. And I will be also showing you the answers at the end of the assignment. You make a first effort from your side to work out those questions. So don't get discouraged if you are not able to answer good number of questions. Then again, I will, after showing all the questions, I mean 61 to 90, and answer in the next class. Then in the later class, I will be discussing the solutions of all those questions. So that will be the next set of questions I will be showing in the next class.